All right, so I'm here to go through the workflow, the cosplay workflow V3. Pardon me if it's V, it says V4 here. And I just want to let everyone know that English is not my first language, so pardon if I stutter a little bit. Sometimes I can pause, but yeah, I think you guys will understand me, hopefully. Okay, so I'll just walk you through here. So first you have to go through this step, which basically gives you an idea like how to use it. There are modes, there are notes and everything, and these are the links to download all the necessary models, loras, and whatnot. And here is the first thing you need to do is to input your input image, of course, and here are the configs, which you don't really usually change anything here. Next one is the refiners, and this will give more realism to what is the first one has generated. And lastly, the detailers. All right, so without further ado, let's first try to generate an image from Pinterest. I'll just drag it over here. All right, so it's an anime image or maybe a cartoon image of Scarlet Witch. Yeah, and I already have Elizabeth Olsen here, which is the Scarlet Witch in the Marvel universe. So I'll just go ahead first with the modes, right? So modes, we'll have the prompt mode here. Prompt mode, which actually lets the tagger prompt based on the image. We have the freedom mode with IP adapter. So basically the same as prompt mode, but with IP adapter, we'll have more adherence to the costume, the character itself. And lastly, we'll have the, maybe you can say composition accurate mode, but basically I'll just enable tile for it to, follow the actual image. All right. So let's go first with the prompt mode, which won't have any enabled configs here. So just hit run and wait for it to load the model first. And by the way, this is the pony model. For the refiners later, it will change to SDXL. So as you can see here, right, we did get a bit of like realism. I mean, it's actually realism, but it's more of like a freedom mode based on the prompt only. Okay. So as you can see here, we have generated this image of Scarlet Witch without the headdress and all those things, details. But if I want the freedom mode, I'll just enable the IP adapters and then just generate again. So from here, you can like control whatever you want to enable there. It's based, I mean, the combination will be based on the modes here. Okay, let it generate. And as you can see here, it already have, adherence to the image input, which has more of the composition of the original image. But it still doesn't give you the full accuracy of like the pose, the composition, the background. So it kind of like has an idea of like what the character looks like and the environment, but it's not a fully accurate to the image. Next is we also enable the tile, which gives it the composition as well. So hit and run. And if you go here, you can see like it actually did this. The blur the image basically for the tile processor. And the end percent here is set to 0.4 and the strength is 0.4 as well. So you can definitely see that from here it will change the anime to, or the cartoon to, a more realistic model. All right, so I think at least here we can get the pose, we can get the composition, and yeah, it actually did good, but I think it can do better. So let's say the button here is actually in this part. So that's where the canny goes in, which gives us more accurate based on the edges of the images of the image. So let's just enable canny to give it more accuracy. So as you can see here, it also gives us the edges of it, and that will give the AI information that hey, this is where the button is, or there are lines here. So yeah, And on the original workflow that I've shared actually didn't have the high-res fix here. Also, I put in the change that I removed it, but I added it back just for testing purposes. But yeah, I mean, you can see from here now it's a bit more accurate. The medallion is still there though, but we can regenerate again if you want. Okay, so the canny is actually n% is a 0.5, so by 0.5 it's actually gonna change to this. For tile is around here. So it's still not that accurate, I can say, but it's there. So if we're trying to achieve one-to-one conversion, then you might need to regenerate several times. But let's say for me, I'm okay with this. I'll just go ahead and go to the next step. So how do I do that? I'll just going to use the same seed and I'll enable refiner face ID and then the refiner. So refiner uses STXL juggernaut and also turn this to false so that it uses this face swap, uses Elizabeth's face. I'll randomize this as well. I'll turn the high-res fix on, and here you take note that the tile and the canny part here, it's defaulting to tile just to get more accuracy from the original image. If it's not accurate enough, just use the tile, the canny, which gets the edges as well. So also need to change the eye color, which will be used after the generation here, which for detailers. So it's fine if you forgot to change this when you're generating the refiner. It's gonna take over when we enable the detailers. For now, it's all good. I'll just hit run. So it's gonna be a bit slower for the next run when you enable the refiner because it will try to load the SDXL or the Juggernaut XL model. So just to explain, for the face input switch here, if you wanted to use the same phase as this one, you can turn this to true or just leave it turned off if you don't really want to change anything. But I highly recommend to use either true or false because this will give more realistic look on the face itself. That is actually one of the key points of like identifying whether an image is AI or not. So like the eyes, the structure of the face, like there's always this face that you know that is generated from AI. And this workflow is not different from it, except if you enable this refiner face ID. So as you can see here, it's already trying to identify the face and also loading it. So yeah, let's wait for it to generate. And you can even see from here now that it took the face of Elizabeth, that point, but because it is in, so it might change as well. And the fact that it's 0.9, it's not gonna be that very accurate to the face. So just to give you an example, right? So I want it to be Elizabeth as much as I can. Okay, so I changed from 0.9 to 1. I'll generate again. This one is gonna be very quick because it's already there. Just need to reload the IP adapter, face ID. All right. So sometimes it can go wrong because the face shape, the hair might not be matching. So it's gonna be looking weird. But if it looks too weird, just change this to 0.9. It will fix everything based on my experience. Now it's Elizabeth Olsen. And just to note as well, for the high-res fix, even though that it might look Elizabeth here, it may change because here it's the noise was set to 0.4. So once the high-res fix kicks in, it might change the face. A little bit, yeah, but it's still gonna be there. All right, and there you have it. Yeah, Elizabeth Olsen. Well, you can see that's a little bit weird because of the face shape. The face is like, well, maybe the forehead is not proportionate, and the face is like a bit on the left. Yeah, but I think for me it's fine. I mean, it's not gonna be perfect anyways. All right, so the next step here is to reuse the seed so that we use the same seed. Then next is we wanted to enable the face detailer to make more details on the face. Hand detailer doesn't really make sense here because she's wearing gloves. So I'll just go ahead with the eye detailer and the SD upscaler. So don't worry about here if the eyes are like gray or different color from blue. This will be fixed by the face refiner, or sorry, detailer and the eye detailer. So let's hit run again. And instead of like generating from here, because we use the same ID, it starts with the face detailer now. And make sure you're using FP16, or sorry, torch float 16. Yeah, because that will be very optimized for the workflow. As you can see here, it fixed a bit blue shade already on the eyes. And let's wait for this. So it identified two eyes, right? So eye detailer 1 and 2. Now it's doing the second one. Now you can see it's blue. Okay, so it's still a bit blur. So this is where the upscaler goes in. And later, Leslie will add the fast film gray, which is set to 0.02. Yeah, you can see from here already. But because it's a lower resolution, the grain is too much. So if we have this with a bigger resolution, it might be enough. Okay, and finally we'll have here the final compare, which gets updated every time it has changes. So you can see here, right? It's at 100%. But earlier I tried this image, the same image. I got a very good, decent output. To note also, like you have seeds here. It's gonna be useful when you, let's say, you don't want to regenerate again from start and you don't like the eyes, right? So you can just select this to use the same seed and then just hit run again. So it starts from here. Okay, and you can finally see here the numbers, right? So these are the tile numbers. You can usually see it from the CLI, how many. So for this one is 9. And let's try to compare. Yeah, if you can see here, it became more detailed. And you can see the ears, the earrings, all those things actually can be fixed by, personally I use Flux in Paint to get it more detailed and accurate. Like let's say this can be a medallion or some sort of that. So this is the final change, right? So conversion. And what I usually do is just right click this and then save image. And that's it. Alright, so hopefully you've learned about this tutorial. And if you wanted to generate again, let's just say just turn this off and then turn the rest off as well. So I usually start with IP adapter, or if I feel like I wanted it to be more, have more freedom, I'll just go ahead and disable everything and then play with it. Alright, so happy converting. Don't get addicted.